Okay, so today we're just going to do another little vlog style video, a bit like last week, in which I literally just let you guys know what I'm doing today or this week in perfumery. The last video seemed to go down quite well, so here's another one like that. So, this morning, what I had to do was clean up my workstation, and the reason for that was because I just had about, literally 100, maybe 200 bottles of stuff lying out all over the place, and it was starting to get messy to the point where I couldn't find things, and it was annoying because I didn't have enough space to do all the work. And anyway, I haven't cleaned up in a while, and today was a good day to do it. So the first thing I did was clean up. Anyway, now we've done that and it's a bit later on, I've basically got about 3 things on my to-do list which I want to get done today. So, first thing, this week I got a few new raw materials, which is really cool. Now, some of those raw materials were ones I already had, and I was just needing them in order to kind of restock essentially. Some of those materials I've already gone and made the dilution of. However, some of those raw materials I've got here, and these I still need to go and make at least a 10% dilution of in order, well, just so I can evaluate them and start thinking about them, what they're like and how I might be able to use them. So these raw materials were from someone called Harry Sherwood, which is a raw materials supplier in the UK. Now, Harry doesn't have an online web store, which makes it a bit tricky because you can't actually go and just browse his things online. However, if you are in the UK, I would definitely recommend him as a supplier. He has got a website where you can get in contact, and if you're interested, I'm sure he would be happy to send you a list of the raw materials he has. Now, the good thing about Harry is that firstly, his raw materials are of really high quality. Secondly, the raw materials I think are really well priced, actually often a bit better priced than Pearl Wool for the same thing. And then finally, he's also got a really good wide range of raw materials, and especially rare raw materials that you wouldn't find anywhere else. And I'm not being sponsored by him or anything, I'm not being paid to say this, but I genuinely think he's a really good raw materials supplier, so if you're in the UK, I would definitely go and check that out. Anyway, I've got about 8 raw materials or so here that I need to go and dilute. I'm not gonna actually film that because it's probably boring and it's pretty much the same thing that I've done before. But what that's gonna include is later on me firstly going on the computer, making some labels, and then I'm gonna get those, put them on the bottle, make up with plain perfume as alcohol, these raw materials, so 1 part of that to 9 parts of perfume as alcohol, and then just make some 10% dilutions. And hopefully tomorrow then I'll go and take some scent strips and I'll just start evaluating them, writing them down in formula, and then we'll go from there in the future. If I get any ideas on how to use them, I'm sure I'll cover them in a future video. Anyway, the next thing I did, well, what I did this morning was I still had some scent strips left over from last week, which I evaluated. All the ones which I couldn't smell anymore, I chucked in the bin, and the few that I've still got out here are ones which mostly are base notes because I did most of these actually last week, but these are ones that I'm still monitoring just to see how they evolve. Now, the next thing that I need to do later on is I've actually got a collection of bottles over here, which are mostly raw materials from my box of raw materials. And I was looking through the other day and I actually went and found quite a few raw materials that I completely forgot about, that I can't remember the smell of. So these are ones that I just want to go and put on the scent strips again later on and do some evaluations and kind of refresh my memory, remind myself of what those are like. I've also got a couple of formulas here that I made a couple of weeks ago I just want to do a second evaluation on, and I've got a dilution that I need to make for gamma undecalactone or aldehyde C14, and that's just because I ran out, so I need to go and make up a new dilution. So nothing that interesting, but that is kind of like my day in the life vlog style stuff for today. Now, the interesting thing about today, or the thing that's kind of new and unique, is that this last week I've just finished making a batch of my brand new perfume, which I can't give any details about yet, but hopefully this is going to be released in the next week or two on my web store. Now, The reason that I'm sharing this is because, so what I've got here is the full batch, which is almost a litre of pure perfume. And what I'm going to do today is actually going to go and fill that into an oak barrel to let it macerate for a week or so, in order to just add an extra oaky kind of scent to that. This is something completely new that I'm trying this time, but I think it will be really cool. I think it will add kind of an extra, well, definitely a novelty factor, but hopefully it will actually add something to the perfume in terms of how it smells as well. While we've got this here, I think it's also a good time to address a comment or question that I get asked quite a lot, which is, how do you go from your regular formula and actually go and start manufacturing that as a perfume? So the reason that I've never really covered that in one of my videos is simply because it's really, really simple, such that I didn't think it was worth making a whole video on. So when you've got your formula that you go to make, say, a sample vial of, and that might be like 10 milliliters, it might be 5 grams, whatever size you make of it, that will be a certain amount, right? And if you want to make a production batch, all you've got to do is multiply everything by a certain number until you get up to how much you want to make, and then you still go make it in exactly the same way. So say I was using 0.1 grams of a raw material in my trial blends or whatever. Well, all I need to do is then go and take my scale and say I'm making 100 times more from the trial blend for my final perfume batch of, and that could be the perfumes that I'm going to go and give away to someone or sell or whatever. Well, that 0.1 times by 100 is going to be 10 grams. So all I'm going to do is, instead of weighing out 0.1 grams, this time I'm just going to weigh out 10 grams. So obviously what you're going to need is a much bigger beaker or something to weigh them out into. And you'll probably need also a scale that weighs to a higher amount. So this time you might want to use something like a kitchen scale instead of your perfumery scale, if, like mine, your perfumery scale only weighs to a very small amount. Or alternatively, you can just weigh the things out bit by bit and then pour them all into a larger beaker as you go. But really that's all there is to it. You just add more stuff, but as long as you keep your proportions the same, then that's how you manufacture your final perfume. Now, there are a few more steps. So there's also filtering the perfume and then actually going and filling the bottles. Maybe I'll go and actually, if I do another one of these vlogs, when I'm actually filling these into bottles, I guess I could probably show you guys how I do that as well, just if that's what some people are wondering about. But really the process of manufacturing is pretty simple until you're getting to like massive industrial quantities. But to be honest, I think with most niche perfumes or niche perfumeries, especially if it's something really that's on a very small scale, like especially for me, the amount of sales I get definitely don't justify me having any kind of like crazy big manufacturing setup. If you're doing something like hundreds of bottles a month, then maybe you need to start thinking about doing bigger batches. But if you're only smelling a very small amount of perfume, then just doing things in this kind of scale as you normally would, essentially with just a few more extra steps, that's completely fine. Anyway, that's all there is with regards to that new perfume for now. So hopefully the idea with this is that that perfume is going to sit there for at least a week, and what's going to happen is all of the nice aroma chemicals that smell oaky inside that oak wood are going to effectively get extracted by the alcohol in the perfume, such that those also get added into the perfume to kind of help develop the aroma profile even further. So I'm sure you'll hear more about this new perfume soon from me, and until then I'm going to go away and make my dilutions that I still need to do tonight. So I know this is quite a short video, but I at least hope you guys enjoyed watching me pour almost a litre of perfume into an oak barrel, because I mean that's always satisfying to watch, right? So until then, I'm wishing you all the best of luck in your own perfumery adventures, and I'll see you next time.